fellow YouTubers, Reach Mixed here. So I wanted to dedicate a few videos to something that I actually care a lot about. It interests me a lot, and it is known as human psychology. Now, I know you people that probably think, well, why is he doing psychology? That's like boring stuff, right? I don't know. Don't click on this video. I actually think you might find this stuff really interesting. So this is just some stuff that I thought about. Don't call this canon, because I don't know if other psychologists call it canon. Probably isn't. This is just my opinion on the basic rules of psychology. In this video, we're going to be going over the first rule of psychology, so, yeah. So, the first basic rule of psychology. A really interesting, fascinating, and slightly complex thing. So, what is the first basic rule of psychology? What does it have to do with you? Well, it mainly pertains to you making a choice. Something as simple as that. But the 5 basic rules of psychology, all of its basic uses, which is what makes them so complex. Now, you're probably thinking, well, how does something as simple as making a decision so complex? Well, some decisions involve, well, they are life-altering, so they're going to make it more complex than some other decisions, like, would I buy this pizza? Am I going to kiss this girl? Am I going to beat this hoe? I don't know. It depends on who you are, I guess. Okay. So, I'm going to put you in a situation that is going to help better explain what the first basic rule of psychology is. So, if you're a man, this is what it's going to be like from the man's point of view in this situation. Anyways, so, already complex as it is, so, you, say you're an alcoholic, you have 2 kids, you're married, but you are an alcoholic, and your wife threatens to leave you and try to take custody of the kids, so, but she does leave you, but by the time she actually leaves you and takes you to court for custody of the kids, you, realize, oh wait, drinking's not good, so you stop drinking, but you're on a divorce, so she's gonna fight for custody. And the authorities watch you for a month or 2, waiting to see if you drink, and you prove to them that you actually are doing pretty good, and you have been sober for a while. And so, in the end, you win custody, okay? So just say that. Now, you don't live in the greatest part of town, either. And so, it's really hard to get a decent amount of money. You can barely afford to feed your 2 kids, and your kids in school aren't doing that well, and they are dealing with many issues that are popping up at school, and so that's for the men. For the women, on the other hand, it's like a similar situation, only the guy never stopped drinking, and so the woman won custody, and then the circumstances, like the guy, are the same. Pretty much, the only difference is in one the guy stops drinking, the other one the guy keeps drinking. His sorrows away. So, yeah. So, before we actually get into the situation that I have put you in at this point, there's something I'd like to cover. Believing in and knowing it. So, you might say you know something, but you don't believe it fully. But you know it's out there. You know that, but you don't believe in it. So you will have your doubts that you know that about, like, say, religion, as it's a very good example. So you might know that religion could be true, but you have your doubts about that religion. But then, eventually, if you make it through that phase, you'll eventually grow a belief in it. And so then, you will actually believe the religion. And that's why it's such a great example. So, anyways, let's get into the scenario. The scenario, as I put you in, and I said we're going to get to it, so let's get to it. Basically, since I said your kids aren't really that smart, they don't really have the greatest education right here to help them getting better than they already are. Anyways, you know that most likely they're going to end up with a crap job like you, and they're barely going to be able to afford anything to make ends meet like you. Anyways, the thought comes in your mind, and yes, I know this is A, really drastic, B, so cliche, and C, yeah, it's C is this next. C, just a little bit over the top. Anyways, though, you see an opportunity at this bank that's a couple blocks away, and you're like, you know what? This bank, the security isn't the greatest. I could easily pull a heist off there and get some money, right? Like I said, cliche, over-exaggerated, you get it. And it works best. It's just how it works and it works, okay? Anyways, going on with this hypothetical, not probable situation, well, maybe probable, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know your situation. But anyways, basically, you look into the blueprints. You look at everything you possibly can. You get all the information you can. And you go and you look at maintenance schedules. And you see, oh, there's a clear window here to go and do this. And you decide, we're going to try this. So, anyways, so you have the situation's all set up. It's perfect for you. You have the right time. You have everything you need at this point. And the time is coming close. But then your conscience kicks in and says, hold up. This is breaking the law. And you're like, well, yeah, it is. But then your mind does something I like to call the first rebuttal. Basically stating and justifying it, saying, well, it's so my kids can have a great future and can actually afford to go to college and stuff like that. And have a better life than I do. So, the second rebuttal is what happens next. After the first rebuttal, which said, well, it's for a good cause. It's helping your family have a good future. Well, the second rebuttal says, well, then again, what if you get caught? What if everything goes south and you end up being charged with days or weeks or months most likely, or even years in prison for trying to pull off a heist, and they don't care if it's justifiable? And so that's what the second rebuttal is. But then your mind, of course, jumps in with a third rebuttal that says, but what if I do get away with it? Once again, I could get a better life for my kids. Going back to what helping support and try to make the first rebuttal sound better. Trying to make robbing the bank sound like a better idea, because based on what your mind is trying to say is, hey, the odds seem like they're in your favor, why don't you just try it, you know? What if you did get away with it? It'd be a nice payoff in the end, and would help your family. So that's what the third rebuttal is. So, the fourth rebuttal, and in my opinion, the most crucial rebuttal for this. So basically, what the fourth rebuttal is stating is, well, it includes what I like to call the outside force. Now, an outside force can't just be any casual person. It can't be just some random police officer or somebody you met on the street. No. It is usually someone that you care about. Like, for instance, someone you're dating, someone you're married to, or, in this instance, your kids. And basically, you start to think, because this is the fourth rebuttal saying, well, even if you did get away with it, what would your kids think of you? How would it come to you when it came to you teaching them and telling them stealing is bad? How do you think it'll be like when it comes across from you when they might learn that you might have made a mistake like that, and they find out that you've made that mistake, and then they'll be like, my mom told me not to do this. Is she telling me not to be like her? Or dad, depending on the situation. And so then they might see you as a bit of a hypocrite, so that makes you a bit hesitant to do it. And it says, or what if you didn't get away with it and you were caught? Then, seriously, like, what would happen to your kids then? They couldn't be sent to the alcoholic dad, or the mother would get custody, and you seriously probably would never see your kids again until they were 18, and that would suck a lot. And so, one situation, kids would go into foster care. The other kids, you wouldn't ever be able to see your kids again for a while. And one situation is probably worse because foster care, who knows if you'd ever see them again. So that pops into your head. So then the fourth rebuttal is the strongest rebuttal because it includes an outside force that you care about. Which, if you are a good person, because you're trying to do this to give your kids a good future, then hopefully you have a good mentality about this and you're like, my kids, yes, it would affect me, it would change my life, but how would it affect them? How would it affect the people around me? So that thought comes into play. And so, either you decide to do it or you don't. So, anyways, that is the first basic rule of psychology, and is used in making decisions. Now, of course, something I didn't mention that I did not mention at the beginning of the video, all 5 of the rules can be used at once to do major things. I'll get more into detail in that once we have covered all 5 of them. Anyways, though, thank you all so much for watching. Comment below on what you would do in a similar situation or in the same situation I presented today in this video. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. And as always, I will see you later in the next video. And remember, what works, and Rich Mixed out. Hey guys, thank you all so much for watching. Go down below in the description and click on some of the links to previous videos. There's also a link to my gaming channel, so go check that out and subscribe to it. And if you're finding me for the first time, you should subscribe to this channel because I do more content like this plus some. So yeah, I mean, it'd be really cool. So, I don't know, yeah. Just do it. Why not?